Hey, this is Nathan from Exisle Empowerment. You're about to watch a video interview with confidence coach Lisa Phillips. You'll learn some of her instant confidence tips and get advice on how to be confident in your career and professional situations, as well as at home and in your relationships. At the end of the interview, we'll let you know where you can get a copy of Lisa's brand new book, The Confidence Coach, which you can also download as an ebook and get instant access to no matter where you are in the world. So, enjoy. Well, thanks very much for joining us today, Lisa. To begin with, before we start giving people some more concrete techniques and ideas about how to live more confidently and increase their confidence in specific areas, can we begin with just like the broad strokes of your story, particularly your journey from quite a high flyer in the corporate world to someone whose full-time thing is coaching people with confidence?
Yeah, sure. It's quite interesting, although my career was very much in the corporate world and I used to travel basically around the world in some senior management positions. I never really felt that it was the right career for me. I enjoyed the people side of things. At that time, I was sort of working as an internal auditor, so much more on the finance side of things. And it was always the people side of things I actually enjoyed far more. And I think it's probably fair to say it was because of the work on my confidence that I actually decided to make that leap as well into coaching and moving away from I guess, the more traditional sorts of corporate roles.
So it was because you wanted to focus on your own confidence and kind of people skills?
Yeah, I realized that perhaps, the job that I was doing, it was good, it was paying the bills, it was a nice position to actually have, but I didn't really enjoy it. But I think probably at that time, I didn't have the confidence to say, what do I want to do? What do I want to do that's different? Do I want to move out of a particular career? And also having that confidence to do it. So it was quite interesting for my own journey. Probably around 16, 17 years ago, I went to see a coach myself, trying to sort of decide what I wanted to do. Again, sort of lacking in confidence and self-esteem to do anything about it at that time. And it was from that point that I sort of realized, this is what I want to be doing. This was really the thing that was the fire in my belly that I really enjoyed doing. And from there, sort of went to part-time coaching and part-time more in the corporate world, and then eventually moved over to doing what I am doing now, which is the full-time as a confidence coach.
Okay. So this is a decision that you made at one point that, right, confidence isn't something that's just a background thing. It's something you're going to consciously decide to improve.
I think I think it sort of happened more inside out or upside down for me. It was more of a case of, okay, I knew I wanted to do something else. My body was telling me that perhaps I wasn't as happy as I wanted to be. And it was a case of, okay, I don't like this feeling. I feel uncomfortable. I want to do something about it. And from there, it was decided, okay, I need to find the confidence to do something about it. I need to value myself more to do something about it. So it was realizing perhaps that the confidence needed to come first. And then from there, it gave me the strength, the know-how, the self-belief to actually take my career on to do something that I was really passionate about.
Okay. And that realization that the confidence needs to come first, is that kind of the same thought process that you feel a lot of your clients, a lot of the people that you've helped go through?
Yeah, they may not know right at the very beginning that it's a confidence thing, but they often have a feeling. They have a feeling perhaps that they would like to do something differently, or perhaps they've got a reoccurring issue that keeps coming up in their life, or, they just perhaps know that they'd like something different or something's not working in their life. And then they might come to see me with a particular issue. And then it's quite interesting as we delve deeper into the issue, there is often issues of that lack of self-confidence or self-belief in themselves, enabling them to move forward or have the confidence to move forward into what they want to do. And that just could be speaking up, a new job, or anything, doing anything differently basically in their life.
Okay, so confidence is kind of a background thing for many people before they realize that this is actually the kind of thing that they need in order to do what they actually think that they want to do.
Yeah, it's like let's just say it's like an inner, I sort of like to describe it. Confidence is like having a big rock inside of your belly. And when you've got that rock, you're pretty stable, you're pretty resilient, and it doesn't matter what's going on outside of you, you don't get pushed around that much because you're a rock. But if you lack that sort of resilient self-belief, which many of us do, and I know I do, you've got more like a feather inside of you. And then whatever's going on outside of you, it blows you around emotionally. So yes, so the confidence, like a nice, big, firm, stable rock, keeping you grounded and keeping you feeling good and grounded and just sure in yourself.
I'm sure a lot of people imagine that if you're born with a feather rather than a rock, that's just the way you're stuck with. And people who are born with the rock, they're just the lucky ones, and you can never become like that.
Very true. Very true. And I think that's one of the issues that we see all the time is we look at other people and say, oh, it's okay for them. They're more confident. They're a rock. You know, I'm a feather. I can never be like that. And we also, you know, when it comes to the media, we look at other people. We compare ourselves constantly to what we see, believing that we can't get to that stage. But it's actually, that's not true. We can. Each one of us has got a confidence muscle. And the only reason that perhaps people aren't out there doing what they want to do, feeling happy, really embracing life is often that confidence muscle just hasn't had much use over the years. And it needs just a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of building up. But everybody has it, and everybody can be as confident as they want to be. And I think that's important. There isn't, oh, this is confidence and you have to behave like this in order to be confident. Confidence is about what you want it to be, how you want to feel, and that can be different for everybody.
So no matter how small the feather is, it's still the beginnings of the confidence muscle, and that can be worked on and built up.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
So let's look at some concrete examples of how people can do this based on, pardon me, let's look at some concrete examples of how people can do this based on specific areas. For example, one of the ways in which you help people build this confidence muscle, take the steps from feather to rock, is in the example of their careers. Can you give us a few ideas, examples around this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I see a lot of clients. They come to me either they're in a current career, they enjoy it, but perhaps they want a pay rise, or perhaps they're not enjoying work, or perhaps they want more responsibility. And then I have the clients that come to see me that, you know what, maybe they've been doing a certain career for an amount of time. It's okay. It pays the bills, but they want to do something different. You might not even know what it is, but perhaps, you know, they've always thought, oh, I'd love to do that job, or I'd love to follow my passion. So I get both sorts of clients. And then it's really about looking, okay, what's stopping you? That's one of the things I work with first of all. And it doesn't matter, you know, whether you're in the job and you want to stay in the job or whether you're looking for a new job. What's holding you back? What fears are stopping you from moving forward? Because if we all felt confident enough, we'd all do it. We'd all be stepping into it straight away. So often what I do first of all is start to look at the blockages there. You know, what's stopping you from asking for that pay rise, or what's stopping you from leaving that job perhaps and finding the job that you really want. And I work with my clients individually. It's very difficult to actually say a lot of the time, you know, it's specific things. In the book, I've put down things which I generally use the different techniques on most clients, but of course every client's very, very different. So once we've identified perhaps some of the barriers, it's moving forward to, first of all, mindset. That's so important. And I think this is something I've tried to put throughout the book. It doesn't matter if it's career, it doesn't matter whether it's relationships. It's about setting yourself up for success, first of all, in your mind. So it's about a confident mindset before you take action. And that's quite different to a lot of philosophies where it's like, no, just go out and do it. Push yourself out of the comfort zone, go and leave the job, or go and ask for that pay rise, or go and speak up. Because for the majority of people, that would terrify them. Absolutely terrify them. Particularly, like I said, if you're a feather and you're being told to go out there and do something that you're terrified of doing, there's a gap. There's an absolute gap. So in my work, what I aim to do is minimize that gap so there isn't the fear. So even with a career, if somebody's terrified, again, let's say just asking for the pay rise, it's not about going out there and asking for the pay rise. Sometimes it's about saying, okay, what's my fears that are stopping me from doing that? Do I not believe in myself? Do I think I'm going to get into trouble? Do I think I'm going to get fired? Who do I think I am for asking for that pay rise? And that's the gap sometimes that we need to work on.
So rather than making people just throw themselves off the cliff to begin with, you actually help them bridge the gap between feather and rock and set the mindset originally, which gives them more chance of success.
And it's so much easier. It's so much easier to do that. I liken, I guess, the confidence journey I talk about in my book to a stream. And if you imagine, if you're a canoe, I know we're talking about rocks and feathers and canoes, but if you're a canoe and you put yourself in a stream and you're struggling to get confident, if you're struggling, you're feeling uncomfortable, you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you're perhaps beating yourself up, you're not believing in yourself, that's like putting a canoe in a stream and pedaling upstream. It's hard work, it's exhausting, and you don't get anywhere. Whereas the confidence that I talk about in the book is about taking that canoe and making it flow downstream. And what happens when you put a canoe in downstream? It flows. It's easier. You can let go of the oars, and hopefully then you're going in the right direction. So
that's a really useful kind of mental shift rather than let's just do it anyway, which leaves people unprepared and terrified.
And sometimes if you just do it anyway, you've got the fear first of all, and also you might do it and it might feel good, but unfortunately sometimes the change isn't long lasting then. And I want long lasting change, feel good change, not scared the living daylights out of yourself change.
Sure, change that actually is permanent rather than just a quick thing that will leave you feeling good for an hour or two that won't actually resonate.
Absolutely. Feel good change, a long lasting change that feels good to you.
What are some examples of how we can apply these beyond career to just personal relationships?
Well, personal relationships is a good one because that's a very key area that I see a lot of people, male or female, struggling with confidence. And again, we can do that. Just get yourself out there and go along to this and go along to this. But again, for many of us, we might go along to dating or have relationships, but perhaps we don't feel confident. We might not feel confident about dating. We might feel needy in relationships. So some really good tips there is always start with yourself. Your relationship always does start with yourself. And again, it's learning to value yourself. It's learning to believe in yourself, first of all. So again, confidence from within. When you value yourself, your partners will value you. When you believe in yourself, when you believe you've got high value, then you'll only settle for good relationships. So again, back to the self. Always start with the self, and that's mindset, building up your self-esteem, building up your confidence muscle, believing that you're good enough, and sometimes healing some of our insecurities and neediness that we often have as well.
So rather than being exclusively focused on the other party, it begins with you.
Always begins with you. And I think we've all heard that. We've all heard these things. If you want to love someone, you've got to love yourself. But, really, what does that mean? And a lot of people, I didn't know what that meant. So that's a lot of what I do in my coaching as well. What does loving yourself mean? Does it mean not allowing people to walk all over you? Does it mean being able to say what you want and ask for what you want? Does it mean having a strong sense of self and boundaries? And like I've mentioned before, when you work on that, your relationships will just become much healthier anyway.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Lisa. And one other specific idea I want to take a look at, which is from the Confidence Coach book. And this was something I found quite interesting, which was the personal bill of rights. Can you tell us a bit about kind of what that means?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was a really interesting chapter. And I think that I particularly included that in the book because it was so useful for me. Because again, many of us forget that we have the same personal rights as everybody else on this planet. We often believe that other people have more importance than us, or other people have more rights than than us, or what other people want is more important than what we want. And the personal bill of rights is basically 10 or 12 statements, very clear statements that I recommend to people to perhaps get clear on or put up on their wall as a constant reminder about your personal rights in this world. Yeah, and they're very simple, but they're great reminders. Just things like you've got the right to say yes or no. You've got the right to turn down other people's requests of you. And very simple statements, but often I've just found them to be very useful reminders for people to value themselves a lot, and also to just keep their self-worth positive, reminding themselves that they're a valuable human being with the same rights as everybody else in this world.
So it's almost permission in a way to live confidently.
Yes, definitely. And that's an interesting one. We're complicated human beings sometimes, and, giving ourselves permission to shine, to feel good, to say no, to stop being a people pleaser, to put ourselves first. They can all be quite scary things.
Absolutely. But once we grant ourselves these permissions, we at least begin to take the first step.
Definitely. And the first step can be the most scary. But after that, if you turn your canoe downstream, you'll just start to flow.
And begin to build that muscle.
Definitely.
Cool.
Definitely.
So aside from buying your book, The Confidence Coach, Take Control of Your Life and Well-Being, which we, of course, encourage everybody to do, what's one action that people can take right now, like today, to begin to build that muscle, to begin to tilt the canoe downstream?
Okay. One of my favorite tips, we hear so much these days about affirmations. And again, I guess in my experience, if you're not feeling confident and somebody says to you, you need to start to affirm, I am confident, it doesn't feel that good. Most people go, oh, it's a load of rubbish. Now, you can continue to carry on saying that for months and months and months, and it will eventually shift something. But I'd like to change that a little bit, and I'd like to recommend anybody who's thinking about building their confidence to change that affirmation a little bit and make it into an affirmation that actually feels good. So I recommend that perhaps people wanting to go on a confidence journey just start to think in their head or out loud, wouldn't it be nice if I felt more confident? Or even, I'm really looking forward to feeling more confident. Slight difference from the first affirmation, but the most important difference is it feels good. It makes you start to think. It gets you a little bit excited, and also it starts your canoe going in the right direction downstream. So maybe just a couple of times a day, just sit there and think, God, wouldn't it be nice if I felt more confident? Or, yeah, I'd really like that. Or I'm really looking forward to becoming more confident. And maybe just write down 2 or 3 things that it might enable you to do differently in your life if you felt confident. And again, it's not necessarily about sort of going out and doing it. It's about feeling it and starting the momentum to grow, starting the confidence muscle to grow, and start to put your canoe in the right direction.
That's a really useful shift, because if someone says the affirmation, like, I'm confident, but they know that they're not, their mind's going to go nonsense. They're going to feel the pain of not being where they want to be. But this helps shift the direction.
Absolutely. And what happens if people say, I am confident, and like you said, they don't feel it, their canoe goes, whoop, upstream. So let's keep going downstream.
Fantastic. It's a really useful tip, Lisa, and thanks so much for your time this morning. Do you want to spend just a minute or two just talking about your book, The Confidence Coach, and what kind of benefits people get from going through that?
Sure. First of all, I just want to say how much I really enjoyed writing it. And a lot of it in the book there's a lot of hints and tips there because I stuffed it up myself for so many years. I wasn't a person who had a lot of confidence or self-esteem at all, and that led me into many, let's just say, interesting circumstances in my life. So the confidence coach for me is about assisting people, first of all, not to make the mistakes that I made, but making the confidence journey a journey of effortless and ease, not a journey of beating yourself up, comparing yourself, or making yourself feel bad. It's a journey into your own personal confidence, what feels good for you. And the book's basically split it into three different parts. I work on the first part in getting rid of some of the old baggage, blockages to confidence. And in the second part, we really look at different things you can do to build up that confidence muscle. And the third section is split into confidence in specific areas, such as confidence in relationships, confidence in your career, confidence in public speaking, confidence even with bullies. And we look at specific areas, and confidence with body image. I recommend everybody does the three sections in order. If we can get rid of some of the baggage in the first place, it makes it much easier to flow downstream to all the other confidence tips. So I guess my aim with the book is it's not meant to be a book saying you're not confident, you need to do something about it. It's a book of nurturing, and you're okay, and there's nothing wrong with you, but hey, let's have you feeling good and confident and shining and bringing yourself out to the world of being proud of who you are.
Cool. Fantastic, Lisa. Thank you so much for your time with this interview.
Pleasure. Thank you.